The time is now 5:38. Meteorologist Alex Forbes continuing to track that risk for severe weather.
That's right, Wanye. A level 3 severe weather day for most of us here in central Georgia, but parts of our area now in a level 4 risk. And there's a flash of lightning behind me as we have storms beginning to move in to central Georgia this morning. Let's talk about the details here as we look live from Atrium Health Navicent. Let's jump on over to the radar here. That flash of lightning you're seeing is from the Crawford County area. We'll come back over to Georgia in a second, but I want to show you this first into Alabama. So we now have verification, if you will, that our atmosphere is primed for severe weather with this severe thunderstorm warning. A lot of lightning south of Birmingham. That's going to be north of Montgomery, sliding towards the Auburn area. But let's come back here to central Georgia. The flash of lightning you saw just behind me a second ago, that's from Crawford County over on the east side of Roberta. So a thunderstorm moving into northern Peach County, southern Bibb, and Houston in the next few minutes. Also, more storms back into the Columbus area beginning to get their act together, moving towards Taylor County here, we'll say in the next hour or so. This is going to be wave 1 of 3 waves we've got of severe weather rolling its way into central Georgia today. Look back off to the west, seeing some more unsettled activity back into Mississippi. Now a severe thunderstorm watch in place for the Jackson area. And speaking of the Jackson area, that's where that level 4 risk starts today, goes across the state of Alabama and comes as far east as Taylor, Macon, Dooley, and Crisp counties as we work our way into the afternoon. A level 3 risk in place for most of us here in central Georgia. That's going to include Macon, Warner Robins, Perry, Dublin, over towards the Thomaston area, and a level 2 to the north. The threats today: strong tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. Let's go through the 3 of these threats more specifically and talk about the percentages that the Storm Prediction Center has outlined. So starting with the tornado threat, first with the colors, notice we're up to that 10% risk here. That's going to be where that level 4 is in place. In addition to that 10%, the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has also outlined that area for the threat of potentially tornadoes EF2+. Now this area is relatively confined. It only goes a few more miles into Alabama, so they're really targeting the Columbus area with that, and that bleeds over into central Georgia. The wind outlook, talking about 45%, which I know it doesn't sound like a very high amount, but on this scale, it's, this is the second, it's only one more up, and that's as high as you can go. Also targeting that area for 75+ mile-an-hour wind gusts. Here's the hail outlook. Notice we don't have that 2-inch plus area like we had yesterday, but still at 30% here. That's going to come a little further north up into Peach and Houston County, also down into Wilcox County. So let's time it out here. We're going to go through 2 different models. First, this is the graph. This is what we usually look at each morning, but notice not necessarily picking up on everything that we're seeing at the moment. Regardless, it's flaring up some storms by 8, 9 o'clock. Moving them through central Georgia later this morning into the early afternoon. The graph showing a lull later this afternoon. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, it says we are completely dry with another round of showers and storms coming in through the overnight hours, mainly confined down to the south. So that's one solution. The other solution, this is the HRRR model. I think this has a little better handle of what's going on right now. Brings those showers and storms through here during the morning hours. So that's wave 1. We get wave 2 in the afternoon. That's actually going to be up towards the north a bit, and maybe some large hail within that, and then those pink areas. And then here we go with wave 3. That's going to be through the overnight hours and into early Thursday morning. So let's talk about the tornado potential. Because that hatched risk is out there, this is the HRRR model. Notice it really picked up on the Montgomery area a minute ago, but we don't get any of the reds in central Georgia. We are getting some yellows and oranges, so halfway up on the scale, but there are other spots that have that higher potential. That's worth noting. So what you need to know, wave 1 is this morning, wave 2 is going to be later this afternoon, wave 3 overnight into Thursday. Wave 2 I'm putting an asterisk on because I don't think that one's a sure bet. I think obviously we're seeing the activity already this morning, and I think the overnight is probably going to be a sure bet. And then on top of all of it, how about a flood watch? That's going to be along and west primarily of Interstate 75. We could see rainfall totals top several inches if we get training in certain spots. So there's the 7-day forecast. Be weather aware all day here in central Georgia. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. Of course, Ben, Jordan, Alex, myself will be tracking it all here in the Weather Center.